how many grapplers' bodies are absolutely fucked. In this video, I'm going to take you through my personal upper body workout. I'm going to take you through the principles that I'm following every second of the training session, the exercise I'm doing, the amount of reps I've done, and basically, as a grappler, how I am able to build muscles and joints that look like this. Because my goal is to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the rest of my life. In order for me to do that, I need to do certain things off the mats to make sure that I build my fucking grappling armor. Hopefully that makes sense. Watch this video. If you want to see my other workouts, mention them in the comments below. And yeah, learn and fucking copy and paste this into your own lives, lads. Exercise number 1, the pec fly machine. There is no better exercise for working the entirety of the pec range of motion. This is number 1 to get my chest fired up for some heavy pressing. Exercise number 2, we have a chest press machine. I absolutely love machines because they give your chest the ability to work in an extremely safe manner to the highest possible intensity. I actually made a mistake on this machine because I was actually meant to go to the machine to the left of this and do an incline press. Like, both of these techno gym machines look exactly the same, but you can just see the foundation of every single rep I do in the gym is just control, close to perfect technique and intensity. I literally lift like my life depends on it. And one thing, I'm just absolutely repulsed by the person that I was the week before. I am looking at my phone, I'm looking at my numbers, and I'm writing down every single amount of reps that I do, the amount of weight that I do on the sets. One thing I also do is I don't even account for the weight of the machine, so it's additional load added to the machine. Because with some gyms, some bars weigh a certain amount. But yeah, I've jumped across to the left machine, which is actually an incline press. Sometimes you struggle to tell the difference between a chest press and an incline press. But usually, as a rule of thumb, the incline press is going to press up. It's going to press upwards considerably more. And one thing that you should make sure with these machines is that your start position has the handles at shoulder height. Now, what that usually means is that you lower the seat probably as close to the floor as you can get. So them handles are as close to your chest height. And the handles basically should be in line with the fibers of the chest. Typically, I see a lot of people that aren't really pushing from the fibers of the chest, and they're using a lot more shoulders. So again, 3 things that I look for with my one-on-one clients: technique, intensity, and tempo. And you can just see how I practice what I preach, because I know it gets the best possible outcome for every second that you're in the gym. Here's another set of my incline press, and you can just see more of the same stuff. And one thing I want you to maybe have a little bit of a pay attention to is not this guy in his nice shorts, but pay attention to if there is anybody else in the gym that is training anywhere near this intensity. I know you can focus on me and you're probably going to start expecting the same sort of intensity, the same sort of form, and I will give points as I go through this, but just look if anybody else is putting in this much intensity, because I'm often getting looked at in the gym and people are like, this guy's crazy, and I'm just like, it's just the requirement. I don't think enough people realise the requirement that pushing your body to its limits is a non-negotiable, because the body will then get a hell of a lot stronger. Here's an interesting exercise. So I didn't have a bench press because somebody was on it doing bicep curls. Yeah, they were actually laying on the bicep. They were laying on the bench and doing some isolated bicep curl. So I went downstairs and I've grabbed the Smith machine. That was free. Smith machine, if you are a man that trains at home, right? If you are by a Smith machine, you can do everything to an exceptionally high standard, both upper body and lower body. It's the goated piece of equipment that you could ever make. Don't spend money on kettlebells. Buy a Smith machine. Buy some plates. It couldn't serve you better. So, as you can see, I've made my little makeshift bench and I'm doing some pressing. This was the third exercise in the sequence, and that's me wrapped up for pushing. This is an upper body day, so make sure you get some good pushing, staple exercises, and then some good puller movements to finish off. But you can see more of the same. One thing that annoyed me a little bit with this exercise is that I couldn't really extend my hips. So the bench that I'd made, the makeshift bench, was keeping me a little bit low. I prefer to like engage my hips a little bit more, so I've got pure stability from the lower body front. I couldn't really do that. However, it was still a great exercise. I really enjoyed doing this actually. One thing with this gym that I'm at is they don't really have very heavy dumbbells, so I won't be surprised if I'm using the Smith machine next time. So there's my 3 exercises for push, and now I'm going to go into my lat pull down warm-up set. And as you can see, good control, and you can see that I'm leaving a little bit of range of motion off the table towards the top end, and that's because I like to keep my traps engaged and I don't like to extend my scapula all the way up. So basically what I'm doing here is isolating my lats a little bit more, but there's a few things I can talk about here with regards to the pulling movements. My chest, I literally overemphasize thoracic extension. So what I mean by that is my chest is pointing really, really high. I'm pointing my chest and my eyes towards where I'm pulling from. And when my form starts to break down as I get really fatigued, I'm really focusing hard on keeping that T-spine extension. You can see that I'm bending backwards, and the only thing that's moving is my elbows, and I'm trying my hardest to pull that to touch my chest. But as you can see, my technique's breaking down, but I'm really focusing. I'm in the locker there, and I'm really focusing on maintaining that T-spine extension. This is it might be the second or my third set, but you can see, doesn't matter what weight I'm lifting, my technique is pretty much the same across the board. And then you're just going to see carnage when I'm pretty much on the brink of failure, where my technique starts to fail. And there you can see my shoulder blades are rising nice and high, and I'm literally at the end range. I'm not even touching my chest anymore. Keep going. Don't stop because your technique faults a tiny amount. Get the extra 3 or 4 or 5 scruffy reps in. Like, they are the ones that make the difference. They're the ones that are going to give you the most strength gains, muscle mass gains. And this is a warm-up set for pull-ups, because pull-ups is, it's a pretty hard exercise. So I thought, it's a change in grip. I thought I'll just do a little bit of a warm-up set here, because my elbows feel a little bit, from grappling. So anyway, I've went and grabbed a 10 kg dumbbell here for my first working set, and you can see the absolute monstrosity that pursues here. Usually the dumbbell stays in between my thighs, nice and high up, but you can see the dumbbell just falls in between my knees, then it slips down to my calves. I'm thinking this is an absolute disaster. But anyway, I'm not going to stop and get angry and have a different set. I'm going to just keep going, and all I'm thinking about is form and intensity, right? And I'm not happy with the set. I'd smash out an extra body weight rep there. Second set, pull-ups. And look at the form. Exactly the same fundamentals. My head's high, I'm looking at the ceiling. So I'm not looking forward, I'm looking at the ceiling, and I've got that T-spine extension as well. And you'll notice the difference if you try with having this T-spine extension, that you're gonna feel it so much more in your mid-back. So again, when I can't get any more reps, I'm still pumping an extra few really at the lengthened position. just adjust this seat position because I really like the stretch on this one. And you can just see the first rep, I'm literally in that mindset. The first rep's fucking hard. I always say, your first rep, you should think, shit, this is too heavy. And then it's a battle to get 6. And then you do all you can to try and achieve 10. One point that's worth making with regards to a narrow row machine is you need to be able to assess the machine's ability to get peak stretch of the traps, but also peak squeeze of the lats. Now, these are two completely different things. You get peak stretch of the traps when your arm is in kind of a chest height position, fully extended forward. And you get peak squeeze of the lats when your elbow is as far back as possible and your wrist is close to your hip. So yeah, 3 boss chest movements and 3 boss back movements, finishing up with some rear delt flies on this absolute monstrosity of a machine by Techno Gym. There was no other options, so I made the most of it and still managed to get 3 decent sets in. So one thing I like to do with rear delt flies, even though they are clearly rear delts, is I like to get a real massive squeeze of the traps in their shortened position. So it's just a secondary benefit that I'm looking for with this exercise. Every time you move your shoulder blades, you are moving your traps and you are developing your traps. So that's an honourable mention for rear delts. Remember, none of these technical terms actually matter unless you bring absolute raw intensity to every single working set, every single rep that you do in the gym.